In this demo, I'll walk through the risk assessment workflow. We'll generate a risk for an entity, link mitigation controls, perform a risk assessment, and submit it for review and approval. I navigate to the entity's page, open the Actions menu for the entity I created earlier, and select View Dependencies. This view shows all related items in one place and is where risks are generated from risk statements. From the entity card in the Dependencies view, I open the Actions menu and select Generate Risks from Risk Statements. In the dialog, I search for and select the relevant risk statement. The system generates a new risk and links it to the entity so it can be assessed and managed in context. The newly created risk now appears as a card in the Dependencies view. I click the risk key to open the risk work item in a new browser tab. This is where we manage mitigation controls, assessments, and the full risk lifecycle. This is the risk work item panel. It organizes all risk-related information across multiple tabs, including linked entities, controls, assessments, and responses. I start in the Entities tab. This confirms which entity the risk applies to, ensuring the risk is managed in the correct business or system context. Next, I open the Controls tab. Controls linked here represent mitigations that reduce the likelihood or impact of the risk. I use Add Controls and select Link Existing Controls, then choose a control to link as a mitigation. Now I open the Assessments tab. This tab shows all assessments performed for this risk over time, using consistent templates and criteria. From here, I click Add Risk Assessment. In the dialog, I select the risk assessment template to use. This creates a new assessment where we'll evaluate the risk in a structured and repeatable way. The new risk assessment appears in the list. I click the Assessment key to open it in a new browser tab. This is where the actual risk evaluation takes place. The risk assessment opens as a multi-step wizard. The typical flow is to assess inherent risk first, then consider mitigation controls, and finally define a risk response before submitting the assessment for review. I begin by answering the inherent risk questions. Next, I review the linked mitigation controls and assess their effectiveness and significance. Calculated control factor influences the residual risk calculations and supports the response decision. On the summary screen, I review the assessment results. This is also where I define the risk response based on the evaluated risk level and control effectiveness. In the risk response plan, I select Mitigate, choose a response assignee, and submit the assessment for review. Submitting for review routes the assessment to a risk manager for evaluation and approval. This completes the risk assessment workflow and formally hands the assessment over to a risk manager for review and approval.